I've always been competitive, and, I've always been a little different. So I never wanted to be like everybody else. I was always different. I never wanted regular jobs. First one, I ended up on fishing boats, and I ended up in a garage, working in a garage as a teenager. And just the jobs that I always liked weren't typical jobs.
Welcome to the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast, inspiring real women with a passion for fishing in the outdoors to go get their adventure on. Now, here's your host, coming to you from the Lance Chuck Camper Mobile Podcast Studio, Master Captain Angie Scott.
Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the Woman Angler and Adventurer Podcast. I'm your host, Angie Scott, and I am super stoked to chat with my guest on this week's show, Captain Michelle Bancewicz. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi.
So we've got some exciting stuff to talk about today, and I want to get into it. So you're on a new season of Wicked Tuna that premieres this Sunday night, February 26th on National Geographic, 9 Eastern, 8 Central Time. And what's so epic about this is you are captain of the first all-women team on the show. Talk a little bit about your journey on how, I'll just throw this out there while we're chatting about it. So I had Angelica Marciano on the podcast back in October of 2020. At the time, she was the only female on the show. And now here we are. We've got an all-women team. That's just so amazing.
Yeah, we're really excited to be on the show. We had a blast filming and really excited to watch this season.
Yeah, we are too. So I shared a little bit about it in the Woman Angler and Adventurer Facebook group, and some of the ladies had some questions. But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about your background. Like, how did you get into tuna fishing?
How did I get into tuna fishing? Well, I was into, just recreational fishing growing up. My father was a recreational fisherman, and so I fished from an early age. My teenage years, I fished. I worked on the charter head boats, and I ended up going back to them later in life, and ended up working on the charter head boats again. One of the captains one day said, "Hey, you want to go tuna fishing?" This was back in 2015, and I went and we caught a fish. And from then on, I just basically did whatever I could to jump on somebody's boat so I could just learn, because I just wanted to learn everything I could about tuna fishing. And I ended up fishing with probably about a dozen different captains in the next few years. I believe it was in 2017. I had a friend say, you can take my boat if I'm not using it. And so I did, and I started bringing in fish. 2019, I went out and got my own boat.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So a lot of people don't know, you're actually a captain, and that alone is a whole journey in and of itself to get your captain's license, and then to be, fishing on waters like you fish on for these humongous fish. It's just so, pardon my French, but it's just so badass to see a woman getting out there and crushing it like you have been.
Yeah, thank you. I love it out there. Being on water is so much easier than land for me. It's so relaxing. And, it doesn't matter how rough it is, just being away and off, on water. I love it.
Yeah. Sounds like your happy place.
It is. It's my happy place.
So you mentioned you got your own boat in 2019, and I believe that's when you started fishing with your first mate on the show, Lea Pinaud. Is that correct?
That's correct. So I met Lea in the end of the season of 2019, and Lea was a Wicked Tuna fan, and she was working at a gym, and my husband at the time worked out at the gym. And on a Sunday night, she was like, all right, got to close up, got to go home and watch Wicked Tuna. And my husband was like, you really should meet my wife. You know, she's got a tuna boat. She's been looking for an all-girl crew. And I met Lea, and she came out with me, and, you know, we hit it off.
That's awesome. And you're both mothers as well, right?
Yeah, we're both single mothers. Yeah.
Wow. That's really impressive. So how did the whole Wicked Tuna thing come about?
Well, in October of 2021, Lea was out with, she had hurt her back the week before when we had caught a 109-inch tuna. And, you know, I had gone out, I caught a 108-inch by myself. And that was, I'm sure a lot of people saw it.
Yes.
On TikTok alone, it had 25 million views in the first month. Wow. It wasn't my account because I didn't even have a TikTok account, but it was somebody else's. And, you know, it just ended up going viral from there to all the different platforms. And, you know, it'd slow down. And then a month or two later, it would just pick up again. And, you know, eventually I got a call from Wicked Tuna and did the interview process. And here I am.
That's so amazing. Well, we're all so proud of you, all the listeners of the show. I'm sure just about every single person saw that video. And, you know, when I saw that come across, I was like, I got to reach out to her and have her on the podcast. And then it just kind of so happened, everything fell into place. So I'm so excited to be chatting with you, and we're all rooting for you on this season. I got a little sneak peek before the show airs on Sunday, so I can just tell everyone listening, you're really going to enjoy seeing, you know, everything that you guys have to go through out there. And it sounds like the guys are really supportive. Has that been the case?
They really are. You know, I could say something great about everybody on the fleet. Everyone's been very welcoming to us. They've all just supported us, and I don't really have anything bad to say about anybody. Everyone's reached out and helped us, and in some way or another, you know, make us feel comfortable.
That's amazing. You know, I know, you know, meeting the Marcianos, and I know Dave is very, very supportive of his daughter and women and fishing, and, you know, and Pinwheel, I think, was it his sister that fishes with him some? So it's just great to see the support out there. And, you know, it can be challenging because it is definitely a male dominated sport. And, you know, when you hold your own out there, though, and I think that when people see that makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really just makes you work harder and try harder, knowing that it's, you know, male dominated, you know, industry. It just, you know, makes me work harder. I just got to get to the top.
You're competitive, I'm sure.
I'm very competitive, and I've always been competitive, and, you know, I've always been a little different, so I never wanted to be like everybody else. I was always different. You know, I never wanted regular jobs. You know, first one I ended up on fishing boats, and I ended up in a garage, working in a garage as a teenager, and just the jobs that I always liked weren't the typical jobs.
Well, that's cool, and there's nothing wrong with that. I imagine, I imagine after, you know, that video went viral, you know, now you're probably a major role model for a lot of younger girls out there that saw that, and now that will get to watch you on this season of Wicked Tuna. Have you had any interactions or anybody reaching out?
Oh my God, yes. I have had so many people reach out, which just inspires me even more. It's mind-blowing because I can't even tell you the number of people who have sent me messages, and it just, it's flattering. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's like, you know, this is what I do. This is what I love to do. And it's, you know, it's my norm. Yeah. And to think that it's, you know, so inspiring for other people, it's really cool.
Well, this is a huge win for women interested in fishing. I think it's really going to move the needle forward quite a bit, because there's a lot of ladies out there that, want to get into it and they just don't see themselves represented. And so to see you and Lea out there doing this at this level is going to make a huge impact. I have no doubt. So
that's really exciting. And yeah, it's I'm starting to see more already, on social media doing it. And I love it. I love seeing girls in the industry.
So I want to get in before I let you go. I did have a few questions from people in the Woman Angler and Adventure Facebook group. This one came in from Captain Deb Deo. She's a captain down in the Keys.
Florida.
Yeah.
I follow. Okay.
Yeah. She said, the fishing conditions in the Gulf of Maine are some of the most tough on the whole East Coast. Touch on how the weather conditions can change up your methods and how you catch tuna. And then she went on to say, you're making all women in the industry so proud. Happy to be your friend.
I guess it doesn't really change. I mean,
you're still kind of going after it the same way. It's just
basically. I mean, unless you're in a different area. So like when we fish down on the Cape, it's totally different than when we fish off Gloucester or New Hampshire. That's totally different because you're you're not anchored, you're drifting, and it's just kind of like a different fishery down there. But for the most part, I mean, it's you're doing the same thing. You're just toughing it out, and definitely, come winter versus summer, there's such a difference. It's a lot more comfortable out there during the summertime.
Yeah.
Winter can get pretty harsh, rough, cold, and you gotta tough it out and get it done. I did one trip this winter in December. I'm having my engine rebuilt in my boat right now. So I was having issues, so I really didn't want to push it too much. And, we were lucky enough to be one of the only boats to catch a fish that day.
Yes.
And, it was the girl boat. It was really cool.
That's awesome. So I had a couple other questions from Lori Pulvisil. She's with Two Chicks in a Boat. You already answered actually her first couple questions. We talked about how long you and Lea have been fishing for tuna together, and how you got on the show. So we already covered those, but she also had a comment. She just said, women getting the chance to share the stage with men who do this for a living. She's super excited to watch. And I think that we all echo that. So, again, just super excited for you and this opportunity and the season, and look forward to seeing everything you've got coming up in the future.
Well, thank you. And, just hearing from everybody and everybody reaching out, just really and taking interest is really just, it encourages me a lot, and just to work harder and represent.
Well, we sure appreciate you getting out there and doing what you do. And again, new season of Wicked Tuna, Who is the Goat? Premieres this Sunday, February 26th on National Geographic, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Everybody definitely tune in. And I think you are more prominently featured on the second episode of the season as well. So be sure and stay tuned for all the adventures coming up.
Which I believe is also the first night, the premiere. There'll be 2 episodes.
Oh, so. Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Big night.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Very cool.
Really excited.
Yeah. Thank you again for taking some time out of your day to be on the podcast. And again, we'll just look forward to it.
Yes. Great talking to you.
Thanks.
Thank you.